Good morning, party people. How's everybody doing today? Hey, I'm your host, Matt Morgan, and here we are another morning. It's a rainy morning where I'm at. How's everybody doing today? Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Car Musings. Yes, officially that's solidified. Since we've already been posted, we're up there. As much channels as we can be. As much as we can be. Because, yeah, Apple decides to get into a whole bunch of legal red tape right now for some reason when it comes to the whole podcast thing. For some reason, they want their cut of the pie. They want the whole business model. They want you to sign everything, including, your cats and your dogs and everything else, over to them legally. It's a bunch of BS. And I'm not going to go through that because my purpose is to be here for you. You know, so, I'm not sure where you're listening to it, if it's one of the sister companies, whether it's spread out to whatever through Spotify. Anyways, either way, glad you're here. Hey, it's Mad Working coming at you. Today, this is what we're talking about. This is what I was kind of thinking about because I'm noticing a bunch of crime escalations. And let me tell you, it's a whole NIMBY situation. For those that don't know what NIMBY is, it basically means not in my backyard. But you know what? It's coming to my backyard. Okay? It's coming to my backyard. I'm not liking it when I stumble across YouTube channels that actually show this kind of crap going on in my city. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I'm not impressed by this. That this is kind of spilled over from the cesspool metropolises of Toronto and Montreal. You know, it was okay when that kind of shit went on. You know, NIMBY, not in my backyard, but now it is in my backyard, and it got me thinking to myself how often I actually see law enforcement. And because of this whole movement that happened over the last few years when it came to defund the police and all the bad press and all that bullshit, it really started to get to me. And before I get into this, hey, please check out themadmorgan.com. Yes, themadmorgan.com. I've been adding a lot of resources to this. I've had a bunch of requests recently from organizations that support mental health and supports awareness, support a lot of good causes. So I want them to get some recognition. I want them to get some exposure. I want people to know those resources are available to them. So please check out themadmorgan.com. You'll find a lot of details on us. I keep adding to it when I can, but I want people to know that I'm trying to do my very best to make the world a better place, as has always been my mission. So hey, check out the resources, articles, everything else we got there. Hopefully you find it's enlightening for you. Okay, so let's get back to this. Yeah, it really is bothersome when I'm seeing a lot of this stuff go on. Um, like videos of actually in Ottawa, in my area. Now, check out a map if you don't know exactly where Ottawa is. But the thing is that this is really pissing me off. Okay, Toronto, fine, it's a cesspool. It's the wannabe New York. Montreal is kind of like the wannabe Detroit. I don't know, whatever. But Ottawa is a capital city. When you're born and raised and everything else, and you know a city really well, it's kind of bothersome when you have to hear this crap that goes on. Well, so let's get back to this. I've never been a supporter of crime. There's no reason for it. I understand desperation and actually good reasons, but when you commit crime for the wrong reasons, for enjoyment, for greed, for every other reason other than survival, I'm sorry, no. And I'm not saying I condone crime. I'm not saying I support it. But there are situations where you kind of have to balance it out. The system is not without flaw, and some people need support to support their family and loved ones. And other than just, their own greed and entertainment and amusement or whatever motivates people to engage. And I'm sorry, addiction is not a good reason for crime. No. I'm sorry you got that problem. Get over it. Get help. There's plenty of help there. Hey, you could find out help on themadmorgan.com. Just so you know, I have a bunch of resources there that can help you out with addiction counseling and also mental health counseling that can help you with your addiction. So, back to this. Law enforcement stretched thin. This is true. We need more people in law enforcement. We need more people in those positions. We need more people in those positions that actually make a difference and actually cater to the order of society. And that includes law enforcement for sure. Number one, military, the whole medical structure. I mean, these are all important positions that without them, society does not function. I could go on. There's a whole list of support structure people that are needed. Criminals are not needed. They're parasites, right? They're the ones that take from society those that are working hard and everything else. We're talking about the people that serve the public, that are public servants in some regards or another. Those are the people that we need more of. Those are the people that are important. But law enforcement. I've always said not enough law enforcement. It's true. There's not enough law enforcement. We need to have more of it. And we need like triplicate to what we actually have, if not more. There should be such a presence of law enforcement that people are going to think twice on things. And I've supported in the past shows, as you know, I've supported in the past shows that, especially for traffic violations, because let's be honest, people are stupid idiots on the road. Not everybody, but a lot of people don't know how to use signals, a lot of speeders, a lot of reckless drivers, people that have no skill with driving that should not be on the road, should not have their licenses. And yes, that's a big issue, but we could use technology for that. But in other situations like crimes, we need to be more strict. More law enforcement would be a good idea. But why don't we use other resources we have if we don't have the person power for law enforcement, because people are not wanting to get in such a hard, thankless type position, unfortunately. Um, and I can understand why people are not really inspired to get into such positions, because it does take a very selfless, giving, understanding person to give to a society that a majority, for some reason, don't really support them, although they need them. So I guess my point being here is that let's look at technology. Let's look at other resources to help out law enforcement. Now, this has been a big debate for a while when it comes out to what do you do, when it comes to that. Okay, well, there's old technology that we had once upon a time that for some reason we stopped using for whatever reason, that I think, let's be honest, one thing I'm seeing is I'm seeing a lot of these smash and grabs. I'm seeing a lot of these people that have the boldness to go into stores and just rip off the place and walk out the front door. And because there's been this whole movement of, oh, well, security is no security, they're not going to stop you, blah, 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 liabilities, insurance, up and down the whole scale, people have been bold enough to do it. And it's like, wow. Okay, so why not do this? Because you got to remember, it doesn't work, right? As much as the criminals think, oh, it's a free payday, whatever, it doesn't work. And I'll tell you why it doesn't work. Because you rip off a place, you steal from them. There's still insurance. Yes, I agree. Fine, the company gets their money back. You get a payday, whatever the case may be. But here's the thing. Eventually, it trickles down and everything costs. You rip off the store. Okay, fair enough. The insurance pays for it. The insurance premiums and rates go up, means that's more money for the company. Enough of those losses, the company says, okay, well, we're losing more money from being here than we are from actually not being here, so it's not worth our time to stay here. Guess what? They close up shop. I think I've had this discussion in previous episodes before, but they close up shop. So that store no longer exists there because of these criminals. This is the domino effect, people. So no longer exists because of that. And Nobody else wants to do business, so that location becomes desolate. No longer there, close the shop. You start doing these same crimes in the area, you start doing that over and over again, and more shops close. Before you know it, the place becomes a ghost town. Shopping malls close, areas close, nobody wants to live in the area, people move out, and it becomes a ghetto, becomes a shithole, it becomes a place nobody wants to be, and there you go. Not good at all. Because of that, now you have an area that went to the scum. Now you have a scummy area. It's nobody wants to be there. More crime, more poverty, more homeless. The list goes on. And it all started by that little escapade that somebody or a group of somebodies decided, oh, let's make a few $1,000s by ripping off this store so we can go party or buy drugs or whatever the case may be. Not thinking about the consequences, but they started the dominoes to destroying an area, a neighborhood for people. Yes, yes, people, that is the reality of it all. As much as you don't want to think it is, and it's just not exaggeration, I've seen it time and time again, it does happen. And it all started with little situations like that. Okay, so in those particular cases, what I'm thinking is there used to be a thing called a man cage. Brilliant invention that was at the exits and entrances of stores. And it was such a marvelous invention. It was very simple. You walk in the store, you don't really notice it. It is basically a cage you have to walk through, but it's incorporated within the walls. And it's just there. So, what the purpose of it is if somebody decides that they're going to be a bold little cocksucker and rip off the store on a major spree, nobody has to get involved. Nobody has to get involved. And what basically happens is once they actually step into this cage, it closes around them. It's a cage. It is literally a cage. And they'll just hold them there until law enforcement can come by and pick them up. Simple, sweet, no loss, huge deterrent. And I know it's an additional cost for stores, but you know, if you think about it, you get criminals off the street, you get a situation where nobody has to get involved, so you don't have to worry about any sort of human interactions which are going to cause problems, lawsuits, and everything else. It's a very simple process. Boom, cage. For the animal that you are, your cage, law enforcement is coming and destroy. And that's it. That's all. Hell, you know, you can do that and problem solved. That's one solution I was thinking. Man cages. Every single time I see these videos, especially of grocery stores, not grocery stores, sorry, like pharmacies, and they're ripping off stuff like that. Man cage. Great idea. Oh, it's not aesthetically pleasing. Okay, well, do the math, balance it out. Trust me, it's it's a no-brainer in my opinion. But okay, so man cages are one thing. The other thing I was thinking of, and this is the one that's steamed in controversy, is vigilantes. Yep, vigilantes. Now, a lot of people are like, no, 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 you can't do that. That's just wrong. People should not take the law into their own hands. Well, okay, let's see here. Military hires contractors for security in war zones. Why can't law enforcement do a similar thing? If anybody wants to take the mantle of law enforcement and go after the harder criminals, I don't see why there should be a problem. Like, I love watching those TV shows or those movies where the criminals go after the criminals. And I think it's great. And when I see the vigilante justices, I'm like, okay, that's great too. But people are like, well, where does it stop? Right? You have somebody that starts going on a rampage about trying to solve all the world's crimes and put a stop to it and everything else. But where's it going to stop when it comes to determining what needs to have a vigilante come into play? That's where the fine line is, and that's where law enforcement, the book of law, and everything else comes to effect, and the training and all that stuff. Okay, no, I understand that, but when you have criminal organizations, when you have gangs popping up, when you have all this other crap, it is right in plain view of people. People know it's happening. People know it's there, and nothing's being done about it because of red tape. Well, at that point, I would definitely applaud a vigilante coming in and cleaning house. You know there's a problem, but you're caught in all this other bullshit for why you're not stepping in and doing something about it. You have these freaking Jesus. See some of these. It's funny. Uh, you know, it's not the Hermit Criminal anymore. It's like friggin' a really bad Paris fashion show in the streets. But you see these fluffy boys, I like to call them, but not fluffy in the fat sense, but just floofy. I guess floofy I'm looking for. Looking ridiculous. But it's just like they're flaunting about the fact that they engage in crime. Nothing legitimate about what they do to get their money. And law enforcement pretty much has their hands tied. Well, I'm sorry, but I think you should unleash people that frankly see a crime as a crime and they're not caught up in the whole political system and the red tape and the bureaucracy and all that crap. I would applaud any vigilante, anybody that's decided that has some training and has some skills, has some stuff that they can actually use, and decides to step in and go, okay, yeah, we're gonna put a stop to this, and they basically go in and clean house by whatever means. Like, I'm sorry, but locking up people is just a temporary solution. Some of these hardened criminals need to be, buried 6 feet under and just dealt with. End of story. And I'm talking the violent ones definitely need to be that. I mean, the ones that do the petty crimes and stuff like that, okay, fine. But if you deal drugs, you're as good as killing people. So, that puts you in the murderer category, in my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, eye for an eye. You do a certain crime of a certain kind, then you should basically have the same outcome, the same level of justice thrown at you as to what you're doing. And I support, and people are like, you're so wrong about that, Mad Morgan. But no, I support the fact that people should step in and do something about it. If law enforcement can't, you know, and okay, give me a hard time about it, but what other solutions do you have? Oh, well, I mean, as I said, I support law enforcement 100%. Somebody needs to keep order and structure in society in order to have a civilized society. And I keep seeing this Palestinian bullshit protests, and they're spitting on our flag and ripping it up, the Canadian flag, and being completely disrespectful and completely unappreciative of the opportunities that we've given them. And they're part of the crime thing too. And I'm not just picking on them because they're one of many elements that we've actually taken into our country to help out, and they're bringing a crime element from their problem countries, which destroyed their countries, ironically enough, and they're bringing the problems here and making problems here. Eventually, you run out of places to run to, and you're going to destroy every country. There's going to be no place safe to go, right? Somebody has to put their foot down. Somebody has to do something about it. Somebody basically has to step in and say, no, 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 no. NIMBY. All right, NIMBY, not in my backyard. You want to do that shit, go back to where you came from. All right? That's what I'm saying when it comes to all the criminals that are coming to Ottawa and stuff like that. No, NIMBY, not in my backyard. Go back to your shithole cities like Toronto and Montreal or wherever else you decide to, crawl out of under a rock from. Don't start spreading this to other areas because you're going to come into an area that people have just had enough. People don't want this shit. People, look at the opportunities that you've been given and you repay it with crime and disrespect. Like, no, 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 no. So, yeah, I support people. Well, you know what? It's either the government's got to invest a lot more money into law enforcement and step up the process, step up the procedures in order to get these criminals sorted out, or you know, look at other measures. AI is great, detection and everything else. Cameras are great. More cameras, support more cameras. Eventually catch them regardless, as much as they think they're being smart with their disguises and everything else. No, no, no. The technology is getting good enough that they can get around these kind of things. Eventually, it's going to be a no-brainer, which I think is great. You know, um, great for that. And again, I applaud the innovations when it comes to technology. So yeah, get the cameras. Um, we should invest more money into law enforcement, and the whole RoboCop thing's not that far off of reality. Because if you can't actually get the human power, then yeah, get AI, get robots on the street. I mean, they're completely logical. It's not emotional, so they won't be able to be bribed and stuff like that. Like these movies that we grew up with, the reality is very possible to be a reality. Because you got to remember that certain things influence the reality of things. Look at Star Trek and how it influenced cell phones, cell phones and tablets and everything else. It's like everything else. RoboCop will become a reality. These things will come to pass. But you know, I just hate it when life emulates movies and create and imagination. It just bugs me because there's such a better world that we can have, such a better life we can have. Um, that is just sad when we can't go the other direction, when we go to the bad struggle side. And I've struggles in my life. I don't need any more, you know. But anyways, just my ideas. I'm hoping this picks up the law enforcement side of things. I'm hoping that um, somebody takes the reins to do something about the problems that are out there, whether it's law enforcement or somebody steps up as a private citizen and actually decides to do stuff. I mean, we need a Batman, we need some uh, superhero that gets nothing more than just doing it for justice. And this is not to be detrimental to society and cause disorder. This is basically to put fear into those criminals that decide to ruin the fabric of society and the security that the law abiding citizens with integrity and honor and everything else. This is to put fear into those that decide to break the rules, not for the right reasons. So they don't know where it's coming from. They know law enforcement. They see the uniform, everything else. But I like people to be surprised. I like these dirt bags to be surprised. I like the element of surprise that they don't know it's their neighbor. They don't know it's that person they crossed the street. They don't know who it is coming at them. Makes them think twice about the crimes and the shit that they do. Yeah, I think that's what it would be fun because, if this becomes more of a thing, they're going to be paranoid and on edge. Great, excellent. Let them be. Let them be. They're not expecting unmarked cars and average dressed people and everything else being the ones that are going to be their demise. Their judge and jury and prosecutor. So that would be, something that might just the psychological aspect of it make a difference. Who knows? Either way, NIMBY from my perspective, because I don't need this shit. I got enough stuff I got to deal with. I have to worry about what I need to worry about. That I don't want to worry about my own security and live in fear of living life and doing it the right way when all these people are taking shortcuts and taking from those that are working hard. It's a vicious circle. Anyways, that is my rant. That is my thoughts for this morning's car musings. It's just been bugging me, and it really bugs me. It's like that one scene in a movie you can't stand to see. You turn it off. It's like why when I watch these videos and I can identify the stores and the locations where this stuff happens, I just get so pissed off. that it's just frustrating when I see it, and it's just maddening. And I'm tired of the excuses of nothing can be done or something's going to be done or blah 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 blah. Show me action. Don't just give me lip service. Show me action. Enough of the bullshit of, oh well, da, 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 follow the process. Okay, I understand that. I have nothing but respect for law enforcement. Tough gig, but I'm not seeing actions enough. I'm seeing a compilement of more crime than I am seeing of solutions. But that's just my viewpoint. There's got to be a way that can be done well, done respectfully, done in such a way that it actually has a sense of order and rightness. But that's not for me to figure out. I got other things I got to worry about. So, with that being said, I am going to wrap this up. Again, I'm your host, Mad Morgan. Thanks again for tuning in. Check out themadmorgan.com. I'm going to call this show as a done and done. I am exhausted. I'm not sure what the rest of my day is going to be like, but I have to, deal with a few other things I got to deal with. So check out themadmorgan.com. Thanks for tuning in. Keep your integrity in check. Be good, be safe, and I will see you next episode. Bye for now.